Okay, look how those match. Almost like a variable. If I have 4x minus 6x plus 12x, what do I do to combine those? I put their coefficients together, don't I? Same thing I do here. If all of their roots match, and I'm adding or subtracting, I work with the coefficients. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 12 is positive 10. So my answer is that. Okay? All right. Make sense?
Mhm.
Now, you could have gotten there a whole lot quicker up here. Okay, because I do believe it's 16 times 5. The square root of 16 is 4. Now that does not mean you don't eventually get there, but you just took the scenic route to get there. Okay, you got to just keep reducing until you can't reduce anymore. All right, let's do another one here. What do you think you're going to do on this? You're going to combine like terms. Okay, these two match up, and these two match up, right? So what is those two? What do I do there?
9 on there.
It's 9 on the square root of 3. Now you're not multiplying, you're just treating those almost like a variable. 2x plus 7x. These two go together, and that's all I can do. Okay, I can't combine anything else. Yes, no, maybe? All right, I want you to try this one.
Another 3 square root.
Right here.
Yeah, just did times 3 for some reason.
Yeah, and that is an advantage. If you put the center step, I do think it's easier to see.
Right.
If you try to do it in your head, you can quickly mess up on it. I guess it's just one more line. Can't be too lazy. That makes sense?
Mhm.
Yes, no, Rick? No. Okay, I'm trying to read your faces today. I'm having a hard time. Okay. I look at 27 as 9 times 3, because I can take the square root of 9. Okay, so that's going to get me somewhere. So if I did two things that I can multiply together that I can't take the square root of, it really doesn't get me very far. Okay, so I go, I'm just going to look at that as 9 times 3. Can't do anything to this one. Then I look at this one. If I had chose 6 and 2, would that have gotten me anywhere? I can't take the square root of 6. I can't take the square root of 2. So I'm trying to find things that I can multiply together that I can take the square root of one of them. So I chose 4 and 3. So then I come down here. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So this term right here becomes 9 on the square root of 3. This one I just bring down because I can't do anything to it. This one, that's the square root of 2. So it's 2 on the square root of 3. Well, all of their square roots exactly match. Okay, it's just like a like variable. So I go 9 minus 2 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. What's 0 on the square root of 3? 0. Because 0 times anything is 0. Okay? All right, let's do one more. And then we're gonna move on to multiplication. Alright. Simplify, that's what it would say.
Mhm.
Where did you get this, the 6 by the square root of 6 from?
Okay, what do I get when I take the square root of 4?
2.
What's 2 times 3? Okay,
Okay.
you gotta multiply it by what's on the outside. If there's something already on the outside, and you pull it out by taking the square root of it, you have to multiply it by what you already have.
So technically, you could have done an extra line in between, if you wanted to like see it better.
Yeah, I guess you could have. Okay, because I could have done this.
If you wanted to see it.
Okay, 5 on the square root of 6 minus 3 times 2 times the square root of 6 plus 5 on the square root of 6. I could have done that. Okay, and then when I multiplied those two together, I got the 6. Okay, good? Somewhat good? Okay. It will get easier the more you do. All right, let's multiply. Multiply binomials, not monomials. Okay? Now, I might have something that looks like this. 2 on the square root of 6 minus 3 times 3 plus the square root of 2. All right, what does that look like I might use?
Or
Foil, okay? And you're going, I don't have a bag of that. You're going foil with square roots. Oh no. Okay, so when I do first, just be real careful. You can only multiply what's on the outside of the square root together or what's underneath the square root together. You can't mix and match them. Okay, so if I'm doing 2 on the square root of 6 times 3, what do I have?
6 and 3 is
6 on the square root of 6, because I multiply what's outside them together, okay? I can't multiply an outside times an inside, okay? When I do outside, what do I have?
2 on the square root of 12?
2 on the square root of 12, okay? Don't worry about reducing it down yet. Just write it exactly like you got it. I have an understood 1 here, so it's 2 times 1, which is 2. Square root of 6 times the square root of 2. Then I do inside. Oh, that was nice and easy. Negative 9. Then I do last. Okay, when I do last, hold on. When I do last, I'm going to do negative 3 on the square root of 2. Okay? Now, then I'm required to break down if I can break anything down. The only thing that can be broken down is that 12. So what can I multiply together to get the 12?
3 and
3 and 4. So I have 6 on the square root of 6 plus, now when I take the square root of 4, I get a 2, which I'm going to multiply it by that 2 on the outside. Okay? So that's going to give me 4 on the square root of 3 minus 9 minus 3 on the square root of 2. Can anything be combined? Absolutely not, because this is square root of 6, square root of 3, square root of 2. They don't match. Okay? Easy enough? Okay. let me show you a shortcut on some of them. If they're perfect, okay, in a perfect world, then you can do a shortcut on it. If you look at the two binomials that you're multiplying together, and they completely match up, except for one is addition and one is subtraction, then all you have to do is Florida, first and last. You don't have to do outside, inside. If you want to do outside and inside, you can, but they're going to cancel each other out. Let me show you outside and inside, and then I'll just show you first and last. Okay, when I do first, I got 3 times 3, which is 9, square root of 5 times the square root of 5, which is the square root of 25, right? Okay, and that's going to break down, but don't worry about it yet. Okay, this is going to give me a negative 12 on the square root of 5. This is going to give me a positive 12 on the square root of 5. And when I do last, I'm going to have a negative 16. Okay? Look at these two. If I have differences of squares once they're worked out, okay, which is what I have. In other words, the two totally match, but one's plus and one's minus. The outside and inside are always going to go away. What's the square root of 25? 5. So this is 5 times 9, or 45, minus 16, which is going to give me 29. I think that's right. So my answer is strictly going to be that. Now, let's say you go, oh, I recognize those are the same thing. I'm just going to do Florida on it. First, 9 on the square root of 25. Last, negative 16. And that's going to get me to the same location very quickly. Okay, it's not wrong if you don't do it that way. I'm just saying that that's a shortcut. Okay, let me give you another one to do. Okay, you try this one. Okay, did you get this? Okay, then I looked at this as the square root of 9 times the square root of 2.
Oh, okay.
So then I took the square root of 9 as 3. I looked at this one as the square root of 4 times the square root of 3. Again, that can be 6 and 2, but that doesn't get me anywhere.
Okay.
Okay, so then that becomes 2 on the square root of 3. Square root of 9 is 3. Can't do anything to 6, and nothing can be combined. Okay? All right. One more thing in this section. Let's say I've got this. I got a problem. I got a square root on the bottom. Now, before, I might would have multiplied that by the square root of 2, right? But look what happens if I multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 2. Now I'm gonna have to distribute the square root of 2 to both things, right? So I'm gonna have square root of 2 times the square root of 2, which is square root of 4, minus 3 on the square root of 2, and of course that can be broken down. On the bottom I'll have the square root of 4 plus 7 on the square root of 2. When I reduce, I get 2 minus 3 on the square root of 2 over 2 plus 7 on the square root of 2. Did I get rid of the square root on the bottom? No. I still have a square root on the bottom. So that accomplished absolutely nothing except for using time. All right, so there's got to be a different way. The different way is when I have a binomial that has a square root on the bottom, I multiply by something that's called its conjugate. The conjugate just means the opposite of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this by the square root of 2 minus 7. See, this is plus 7. So it's going to match up, except for it's going to have the opposite sign as what this has. If I do that to the bottom, I also have to do that to the top, because that's the only way it looks like it's multiplying it by 1. Okay? Now I'm doing FOIL. Okay, I got to do FOIL on the top. Do I have to do FOIL on the bottom? No, I can just do Florida on the bottom. That's why I showed you that little shortcut before. Okay, so on the top, and I'm going to bring it down here, I've got the square root of 4. Then I've got negative 7 on the square root of 2, minus 3 on the square root of 2, plus 21. You agree with that? Let's do a FOIL on the top. On the bottom, I have the square root of 4 minus 49. Okay? Yes, no, maybe? All right, then I begin to break down what I can break down. I have 2 minus 7 on the square root of 2. Well, actually, can I not combine those two? I have negative 7 on the square root of 2 and negative 3. So let's call that negative 10 on the square root of 2. But look, I've got a 2 plus a 21. I can combine those. So that's just a 23, right? Yes, no, maybe? Okay. On the bottom, I have 2 minus 49, which is negative 47. Now, make sure you look, once you finish this, if there is a number that can go into those 3, you must reduce it. So in other words, if they were all even numbers, I'd divide everything by 2, okay? However, there's nothing that will go into all 3 of those, so that's as low as it can go. Okay? Make sense? Okay. I think that camera's about to click off again. All right, I'm gonna start it and stop it and start it again.